We will start with the first. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first we have to discuss the choice between. We discussed in the last lecture. We discussed about the DTOC and IDMT relays. So in this lecture, we will see that about the choice between the DTOC and the IDMT relays. So in the last lecture, we discussed about these two relays, that how we have to do the setting of these relays. Now, in the last lecture, we also discussed that this IDMT relays, it offers the significant improvement in fault clearing time over the DTOC relays. And a question often arises that if that is so, then what is the need of this DTOC relay as compared to the IDMT relays? So there are certain situations in which the IDMT relays are not economical, and they do not offer the significant advantage as compared to these DTOC relays. Now, let us consider the system that we have discussed in the previous lecture also, that as we are moving towards this source, the ZL, that is the line impedance, is decreasing. So line impedance is decreasing, and as a result, the fault current will increase, because the fault current is equals to E divided by ZS plus ZL. And when the ZL is decreasing to this, when we are moving to this A, so as a result, the current will increase. Now, you will say, we can say that if the line is short, let us suppose that if the line is short, in that very case, the ZL is very small. So ZL is very small, and as a result, this value of the fault current, IF, is equals to E divided by ZS plus ZL. So if the ZL is small, then we can say that it is neglected. So IF is equals to approximately equals to E divided by ZS. So it means that for a short line, it will remain constant. That is, the current will remain constant, and we can say that the inverseness of the characteristics of this IDMT relays, it cannot be exploited. So in such situations, what we are doing, we are using the DTOC relays. These DTOC relays are cheaper. These are much cheaper than the this IDMT relays. So that's why in that very situation in which we have the short line, that is, length of line is short. So what we do, we will prefer the DTOC relays, because the DTOC relays are cheaper in as compared to the IDMT relays. So we can say that these DTOC relays are preferred for the short lines. These are preferred for the short lines because of the economic considerations. And in practice, if you see the practical aspect, if DTOC relays are recommended, if the ratio of ZS divided by ZL is greater than or equals to 2. If the ratio of ZS, this ZS and ZL, is greater than or equals to 2, then in that very case, the DTOC relays are recommended as compared to IDMT relays, because in that very case, the current is constant, it is approximately constant, and as a result, the inverseness of the characteristics cannot be exploited if we are using the IDMT relays, which are costly as compared to the to that of the DTOC relays. So this is about the choice between the IDMT and DTOC relays. Now, we will discuss the protection of three-phase feeder. So here what we have assumed that everything is balanced, and we have the three lines in that, and we are doing the analysis of the one phase only, and for the other phase we rotate it by 120 degree, and we are getting the values for other phase, and we have assumed that the system is balanced. However, if we are taking into consideration all the three phases, we have to look into the three-phase feeders. Here what we are doing, we have considered only for the one phase, assuming that the system is balanced. Now we are we will discuss the protection of three-phase feeder. Now we will discuss the protection of three-phase feeder. So heading would be, it would be protection of three-phase feeder. So in this case, you will see that we have the three phases. These are connected in a star, and we have the three lines in this case. And circuit breaker is connected to this. This is the relay trip coil, and this is actually the trip circuit of the relay. This is the trip battery, and these are actually the these are actually the IDMT relays, which are used for that very purpose, for detecting whether the fault is there or not. In this case, you will see that we have the CT here in all the three phases, and the IDMT relays are used here in all the three phases. So this is the scheme that is used in that very case. We have the bus A, and the three phases of this bus A, then bus B, three phases of the bus B, and this relay is used at the bus A and bus B. So it is given in detail that in the three phases, how can it be connected. Now, in one point also is it is there that the single line diagram, it hides the complexity of the three-phase system. So three-phase system and ground faults are also there in the system. So in this case, you will see that this whole of the protection system that is described in this diagram, it gives the overcurrent protection for the three-phase feeder. So it gives the overcurrent protection for three-phase feeder. It gives the overcurrent protection for the three-phase feeder. And we can say that all the faults, 11 faults, are covered in this type of protection. If you see that from this, we will have the different type of faults. And here we have the relays, which fault it will cater. So if the fault is A to G, that is line to ground fault, in that very case, if the it is A to G for this case and for this case, then it will relay A is used for that very purpose. If it is B to G, then the relay RB is used, then C to G, then the relay RC is used in that very case, then BC, then the relay in this case the relay if we have AB, then the relay AB is used. That is, if we have A and B, then the relay A and B is used in that very case. So in this case, all the 11 faults are catered by this scheme by using this type of relays. However, there are certain issues which must be taken into consideration while going for this type of a protection system. Now, we have what's the problem? What is the problem? So some problems are there in this type of protection. Okay, we have used the overcurrent protection in this, and the overcurrent protection it caters are the 11 faults in that. So that is desired. However, there are certain cases which must be taken into consideration. One point is that some points are there. One point is that the fault current for single line to ground fault, if we have single line to ground fault, so and the fault current in that very case, in case of single line to ground fault, depends upon the system grounding. It actually depends upon the grounding of the system, that how we have grounded the system. And secondly, it depends upon the tower footing resistance. That is, what is the footing resistance of the tower in which it is connected. Tower footing resistance. So line to ground fault current, it depends upon the grounding, what type of grounding we have used, and then second is the tower footing resistance. And it may happen that sometimes the value of this tower footing resistance is very high, and grounding will be such that the resistance value is very high. In that very case, it might happen that the fault current in the single line to ground fault current in case of single line to ground fault is less than it can be less than the load current. So this situation might arise. This depends upon the tower footing resistance and whatever the grounding we have used. So it might happen that the fault current in that very case, it is less than the load current. So if we are using this scheme, in that very case, it will have the basic principle that if the current is more than the predetermined, then it will trip. Then it will give the trip signal. However, if the fault current is less than the load current, in that very case, it is not possible to trip, because the logic is given that fault current should be greater than the load current. So that is what the overcurrent relay is. So it will not cater this type of faults if we have the line to ground fault in which we have the high value of the resistance due to the grounding or due to the tower footing resistance. So these type of faults are not catered if we take into consideration this type of scheme. So what we have to do? We have to modify this scheme. How to modify this scheme? Now, as we already know the fact that we have the three currents, and in case of star connection, we have the three currents. So for a balanced system, IA plus IB plus IC in a star connection is equals to 0. So it means that the residual current which is going to the ground in that very case is equals to 0. As you have read, in case of a star connection, the current in the total current is equals to 0, and in case of the delta connection, you will have the total voltage is, in a loop is equals to 0. So what we do, that is it should be 0. If no fault is there, then in that very case, IA, IB, IC is equals to 0 for a balanced condition. However, if the fault is there, then that current would move towards the ground. If the fault is there, then that current would move towards the ground. And what we do, if we use a logic that we have the relay at the ground, then it will detect the residual current, and as a result, it will work. So what we do, we modify the scheme, and we modify the scheme in such a way that we connect one relay, that is at the ground for the residual current. So what we do, how we modify it, we use the ground fault overcurrent relay. So this ground fault overcurrent relay, it will gives us the value of, that is a residual current in that very case. Now what happens that this relay, if we use this relay, then it will be blind to load current and see only the ground fault current. So it is blind to load current and see only the ground fault current. And as it is already stated that the current path will be 0 or near 0 during the normal and the balance conditions, and during the three-phase fault, it will not cater the three-phase fault. And the setting of the relay, which is the residual current path can be made independent of the load current and much smaller than the load current, because we can make the setting in such a way that its value is much smaller than the load current, so that we can cater the ground fault in that very case. So if we take into consideration, if we see this, that instead of using this at relay at all the three phases, what we do, we will use the relay at the two phases and at the this ground in the ground path. So if we use this relay in at this two phases, that is let us suppose that this phase A, and then we have phase C, and then ground path, we can use the relay. Then in that very case, instead of using the three relays, we will use the two relays and one relay in the ground path, and it will do the purpose, so without affecting the performance of the system. So relay B in this case can be removed. So this is the scheme, and this scheme will cater all the 11 faults that we have discussed in the previous scheme also. That is all the 11 faults. This is the scheme. That is, this is the circuit B and this is the circuit A, let us suppose. Then it will A and B. So it will cater all the faults if we are using this scheme and we are using the ground fault over current relay. So this is about that how we can. This depends upon also upon the understanding of the protection engineer, that how he sees the thing, so that he has to take into consideration the reliability, and also the cost consideration should also be there. Now, next is the directional overcurrent relay. Next, we discuss the directional overcurrent relay. Next, we start with the directional overcurrent relay. Now the directional overcurrent relay. Now in this case, we will have the double end fed power system. That is, we will have the generator here and we have the generator here. So it is a double end fed power system. And also in this case that we have discussed in the first chapter, the zones are generated by the relays. These are actually the zones which are generated by the relay, desired zones by the relay. So it means that the relay will trip during these these desired zones. And let us suppose that we have the overcurrent, since we are discussing the overcurrent relay. So we have the overcurrent relay at our disposal, we actually see from this diagram, you will see that it is possible to implement the desired zones. We have to verify whether it is possible to implement the desired zones during the using these that is overcurrent relays. Now let us suppose that we will first take an example at the bus C. So we have to see whether the overcurrent relay will it will create the desired zone or not. So that we have to take into that we have to verify that, and after that, if it will not, then definitely we will see we will use some improvements in the overcurrent relay so that the desired zones can be generated. Now let us consider that we have the overcurrent relay at the bus C. So at the bus C, let us suppose that we have the overcurrent relay, and overcurrent relay operate on the magnitude of the fault current and cannot sense the direction. Let us suppose that we have the non-directional overcurrent relay. It means that it will not sense the direction, it will take into consideration the magnitude only. Now let us suppose that we have the fault FA. we have the fault at in this line, we have the fault, and that the fault is FA. Now, as per the desired zones, that if we have no desired zones, then in that very case, the circuit breaker, because of the fault in this part, then the circuit breaker 4, circuit breaker 5 will trip. And if we see, if we analyze that if the non-directional overcurrent relay is used, then in that very case, definitely the 3, 6, then we have a 3, 4, 5, and 6 will trip. So which is not desired in that very case. So which means that this overcurrent relay, it would operate only within the desired zone. However, if we take the case of non-directional overcurrent relay, it will operate, that is it is desired that fault in this line 4 and 5 will operate. However, for the non-directional overcurrent relay, 3 and 6 will also operate, which is not desired, and as a result, the desired zones are not generated. So it is the zone. So it means that desired zones are not generated. That is, 3 and 6 is also tripped. So desired zones are not operated. So what we have to do, we have to use the this relay, directional overcurrent relay. So we have to use the directional overcurrent relay so to generate the desired zones. So we have to use the directional overcurrent relay. Now we can let us take a small write a small table so that we can understand things well. Let us suppose that we have fault FA, and then first is fault, and then we have the direction of the fault path, flow at bus C. Bus C as seen from 5. So then we have desired response of relay at 5. Now next is direction of the fault path. At bus C, as seen from 6. Then we have desired response of overcurrent relay at 6. So these are the points that we have considered and analyze the things. Now first is, let us suppose that the fault is FA. Now you will see that FA fault in this case is between 4 and 5. So direction of the fault power flow at bus C as seen from 5. So what is the direction of the fault power flow at bus C as seen from the 5? It means that we have to see the power flow in relation to bus C. So in this case, when the fault takes place here, in that very case, it will move, fault power will move from this point. It will move like that. It means that it will move away from the bus C. It will move away from bus C. Here it is fault. Then when the fault takes place, the power will flow to that fault, and as seen from 5, the power will move in this direction because 5 is here. So away from the bus C. It means that if the power is moving away from the bus C, it will sense that the fault is there. Then in that very case, what is the reaction at the bus 5, that is at the 5, at this point 5, that is here we have the protection system, circuit breaker and the relay, so it will trip. So what happens? The fault takes place here. Here we have the fault, and the power will flow this away from the bus C. That is, it is moving away from the bus C through 5, and it will detect that it is moving away from the bus C. So as a result, what it will do, it will give the trip signal. So it will trip. Now, second, direction of the fault power flow at bus C seen from the 6. So seen from the 6. So as seen from this 6, what is there? If the fault F8 takes place, then in that very case, what is happening? That the power is moving from the 6. Power is moving from the 6. So it means that from this, the power is moving towards the bus C. So it is moving towards the bus C. And what would be the desired response of the relay? If it is moving like that, it means that if the power is moving through this part, it is feeding to this fault, which is not desired. So what happened? It will restrain. Because if it will trip, then the desired zone is not generated. This is the desired zone in that very case. It means that it will see that power is flowing like that, and it will trip. So desired zone is not generating, as we have seen in the non-directional overcurrent. Now this is when the fault is taking place, FA. When the fault is FA. Now, what happens when the fault is FB? So from this, what we have analyzed that if the fault is happening at this point, then in that very case, the power is moving away from the C. Then if it is moving away from the C, then it will give the trip contact. That is, it is moving away from the bus. It means that it will give the trip signal. Otherwise, it will not. Now, second is the FB. Now, when the fault FB is there in the system. Now, when the fault FB is there in the system. Now, what we will see, first we see the direction of the fault power flow at bus C as seen from the 5. Now, the fault is taking place between the line 6 and 7. So, we will see the direction of the fault power flow. So, if we see from the 5, then the power flow will move like that. It means that it is feeding that fault through 5. So What happens? It means that from this power for a feeding the fault, the power is moving towards the bus. So when the power is moving towards the bus, in that very case, it should not trip because of the fact that desired zones would not be created. So in that very case, it will not trip. So direction of the fault power is towards the C. Towards C. So what it will do? It will not trip. Otherwise, the desired zones are not created. It will restrain. Now, when it is moving towards this C. Now, direction of the fault power flow at bus C, as seen from the 6. So it is happening within their own zone. So what happens? So this fault is happening in its own zone. So it is feeding that fault. So it is seeing it is as a fault. So it will definitely trip. So then you can say that away from the fault is moving away from the bus C. And then definitely it is within its zone, then it will trip. So these are the two cases. From these two cases, what conclusion we have drawn? Two conclusions we have drawn from that. That if, let us suppose that it is, if the power is away from the bus C, it will trip, and then away from the bus C, it will trip. So what? And then towards the bus C, it will restrain, and towards the bus C, it will restrain. So what conclusions can be drawn from that? The two conclusions that can be drawn from that is that whenever the fault flows away from the bus, this one and this one, then you can say that desired zones are created and the overcurrent relay will trip. Overcurrent relay will trip when the power is moving away from the bus, that is this one and this one, it will trip. However, when the power is moving towards the bus, then in that very case, towards the bus, then in that very case, it will restrain. It will not trip, and it means that if it sees the fault power flowing towards the bus. So if the fault power is away from the bus, then definitely it will trip. And if it is moving towards the bus, then definitely it will restrain, and if the directional relays are used. So this is the basic concept of the directional overcurrent relay. Now, we have to study other situations where the directional overcurrent relay is used. This is the example of the directional overcurrent in case we have the double end fed system. So this was actually the double end fed system in which the directional relay is used. Now, other system in which directional relay is used, we can discuss. So it was the double end fed system. So the question may arise, or anyone can ask a question, that where the directional relays are used and why they are used. So you must know the answer for that. Now, other situations where the directional relays are used that we can also discuss. Now, let us suppose that we have the parallel feeders, single end fed system, and the parallel feeders are there in that very case. So this is the single end fed system with parallel feeders. Previously, it was the double end fed system. Now, uh, now what happens in that very case? Let us suppose that for we have the two lines in that single end fed system, and we have the parallel feeders in that. Now, let us suppose that fault takes place at this line, that is this connecting 4 and 3. So let us suppose in the second line the fault takes place. In that very case, the fault is not fed from the faulty line but from the healthy line as well. That is, this line is also feeding the fault. This line is already fault is there in this line, so it will be fed by that, and also this line also fed the fault. So in that very case, we have to use the directional relays along with the we have to use the directional relays. Now, let us suppose that if the directional relays are not provided along with the overcurrent relays, then the desired zones are not generated. In that very case, desired zones are not generated if directional overcurrent relays are not used in that very case. So as a result, what will happen whenever the fault takes place? In that very case, the fault power will move from this line also, and as a result, both the lines will trip because of that fault in the system. So, so what happens? What we do? It can be prevented by, we have to see the tripping direction which is away from the bus. It will be required at the bus 2 and the bus at this 2 and the 3. So tripping direction away from the bus, as we have seen in this example, so it is away from the bus, then definitely we can trip that circuit breakers only, and so we will have the tripping at the this 2 and 3. However, at we have the tripping at the location 2 and 3. However, at the location 1 and the 4, non-directional overcurrent relay it can be used. So since the directional overcurrent relays are costly as compared to that of this non-directional overcurrent relay, because we have in the directional overcurrent relay we will use the PTs also, which are necessary in that very case, because they are based on the fact that they will see the relationship between the voltage and the current angle between see the angle between the voltage and the current, that is directional relays. So these are costly, and for that purpose we have to use the PT. So these are costly. So what we do, we use the directional overcurrent relays at sorry 2 and 3, and the non-directional overcurrent relay at 1 and 4. So it will solve the purpose. So this is the case of the single end fed system with the parallel feeders. Now next we will discuss the other example of this where the directional overcurrent relays are used. These are the ring feeder using the directional this overcurrent relay. So this is an example of third ring feeder. So ring feeders used for the directional overcurrent relay. Now, what is the ring feeder? What is the ring feeder in that very case? So ring main feeder. This is actually the ring main feeder. So what is the ring feeder? It will allow the supply to be maintained if to the loads in spite of the fault in any section of the feeder. So it will. What is the ring feeder? It is in the form of the ring, like you will see. So it will allow the supply to be maintained. Allow the supply to be maintained to the loads in spite of fault in any section. So if the fault is there in any section of that feeder, only the circuit breaker associated with that section, it will trip, and because of the ring topology, the power flow flows from the alternate path also in that very case. So all the directional relay in this case, they have their own tripping direction away from the concerned bus. Now we will see that how we can do the setting of this type of relay. Now let us suppose that we are using the DTOC relay in that very case that we have discussed in the previous lecture. Now let us suppose that we are using the DTOC relay in that very case. Now let us consider the fault F1. So it means that let us suppose that line is cut open at point P1. We have the fault F1 due to the line cut open at point P1, and this makes the directional relay 2 to operate, which is the remotest relay from the source, as we have seen in the DTOC type of relays. So remotest relay in this case is 2, so it will operate first, and 2 is also, you can say that it is also closest to the fault as compared to 3 and 4. So it will operate. This relay 2 will operate, and it is the fastest kind of relay, as it doesn't have any selectivity issues that we have discussed in the last lecture also. So let us choose the operating time of this relay 2. Let the operating time of this relay 2 is equals to, let it be 0.1 second. It is 0.1 second. Now let us choose the operating we have chosen the operating time as 0.1 that is seconds. Now other relay 4 is used as the backup protection. It is used as the backup for the relay 2, because what we have discussed in the previous example, that the desired zones are created only in the case if the power is flowing away from the bus. So in this case, suppose the fault is there in F1, then the power is flowing away from the bus, so 4 will trip. Otherwise, if you take the case of 3, the power, when the fault take place S1, then the power is flowing towards the bus, in this case from this 3, so it will not trip, it will restrain. So that thing we have to take into consideration, that for the trip in a directional relay, for the trip, the power must flow away from the bus. Now, R2 is equals to 0.1 second, that is, and let us suppose that in case of R4, we have the relay R4. Now, operating time of the relay R4 in this case is it can be set at 0. Let us suppose 6 seconds. So R4 is equals to 0.6 second. So how the 0.6 second is coming? It is R2 is 0.1 second. That is, it is coming because we have the R2 and then we have the R circuit breaker. So let us suppose that R circuit breaker for a bus 2, we have assumed it as 0.5 seconds. We have assumed in the last lecture also. So it is 0.5 plus 0.1. So finally we are getting the as 0.6 second. So R4 in this case is 0.6 second. And let us suppose that overshoot time, which is the 10% of these two, then let us suppose that we neglect it. So it is the simple case. We are not doing it practically. However, simple case we'll explain. Otherwise, when we are doing the setting, all the things should be taken into consideration. Similarly, the relay 6. Similarly, we will have then we have the relay. This will operate after this 0.6 seconds. And similarly, other type of the relay which is also acts as a backup relay is the 6 and the 8 relay, because in that very case also the power is moving away from the bus. So if the fault is there, then it will feed the fault, and power is moving away from the bus. And we have the here we have one then the time of that operating time of this relay. So we have used R2, so operating time of this R4, then we have the operating time of R6. So operating time of R6 is equals to 0.6 plus circuit breaker time, that is 0.5. This is the CB circuit breaker time. Then definitely we are getting 1.1 seconds. And then we have operating time of R8 is equals to 1.1 plus circuit breaker time 0.5 is, which is equals to 1.6 second. So this is how we have done this analysis, and this is how we have done the setting in case of the directional relay. So these are small examples. Now in today's lecture, what we have discussed the certain things. In today's lecture, we have discussed the directional overcurrent relay, and before that we discussed the protection of three-phase feeder. Then we discussed the directional overcurrent relays. And where are the situations in which the directional overcurrent relays are used? That is the double-end fed system. Then we have the single-end fed system. with parallel feeders, with parallel lines. And third, we have the ring feeder. Then we have a ring feeder. Also, we have discussed the choice between DTOC and IDMT. So these are the things that we have discussed today. So let's take the quick recap of that so that first we discussed the choice between DTOC and IDMT relays. In this, we have discussed that for a short line, it is this DTOC relays. These are cheaper and used for that very purpose. And also, inverseness of the characteristics cannot be fully exploited if we are using the this IDMT relays in that, which are costly. Now, then we discussed the protection of three-phase feeder. So first, in that very case, what we do, we use the first relays in all the three phases. However, the problem with that is that the fault current depends upon the ground resistance and tower footing resistance. So sometimes it might happen that fault current is less than the load current. So for it will not solve our purpose. So what we do, we will modify that scheme, and we will modify the scheme in such a way that we are using a ground fault over current relay, so that if the fault current is less than that of the load current, and definitely it will do the work. Now next we discuss the directional over current relay. We discussed the basic concept of the directional over current relay. So we have seen that if we have used the normal non-directional over current relay, then the design zones are not generated. However, we have done the analysis, taken into consideration the bus C, and then see the fact that if the fault power is moving away from the bus, a particular bus, then definitely it will give the trip command, and fault this desired zones are generated, which is and if the fault power is moving towards the bus, then it will then the relay will restrain. So in that very case, the desired zones are generated. If that concept we have to we consider. Now this is for the double end fed system. We have discussed for the double end fed system. Then in that very case, we have discussed with the single end fed system with the parallel feeders, that it can be used, this type of relay, directional over current relay. And third, we have the ring feeder, in which the directional over current relay is used, and we have calculated, we have assumed that we are using the DTOC kind of relay in that, and how the time of different relays can be fixed. And one principle we have to take into consideration, that it is the relay will trip only when the power flow is away from the bus. So this is all that we have done